Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
It's foggy this morning in some places. We're seeing just a hint of it here in Sanford this morning. I'll show you where it's thickest as you head out the door.
Breaking news overnight, Iran's president is confirmed dead after a helicopter carrying him crashed. New information coming in this morning after rescue crews got to that crash site.
And today you'll have a chance to learn about how to protect your child from online danger. Coming up, why you should start a conversation at home about online safety.
Good morning, everyone. It is 6 o'clock. We are tracking the latest developments out of Iran after the death of the country's president, as well as letting you know what's happening here at home. Hello, everyone. I'm Renee Chu.
I'm Jeff Hogan. Yeah, great to have you along here as we get our Monday started together. This is the Dix Park camera here. Can't see much. Usually that's a downtown view of Raleigh's skyline right there. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center, just part of what we're dealing with here.
Yes, and here's another view of downtown Raleigh. This is a legislative building. As you look past that, it is a little tougher to see some of the buildings in the distance. So we are seeing lower visibility in some places. It's also pleasantly cool, and surprisingly, even with this amount of fog and low cloud cover, our dew point is down at 56, our temperature 58, so it feels very comfortable out there. Visibility is now 5 miles in the Triangle, about half a mile in Roxborough. We would consider a quarter of a mile to be fog, but of course these sensors are widely spaced, and there's certainly a lot of fog happening in between them right now. When will that fog be out of here? Well, it dissipates as we get closer to lunchtime, back down to just about 40% of the sky covered with clouds by lunchtime. Hour by hour, it's going to be a pleasant day today. 74 at lunchtime with a high of 80 degrees. It does heat up considerably by the middle of the week. I'll show you when we'll hit 90 again coming up. Ken?
At 6:01, Elizabeth, we just got reports of Raleigh police working a crash on New Bern Avenue and Traywick Road. It just happened in the last 10 minutes, not affecting your morning commute, but look for police activity in that area if New Bern Avenue, Traywick Road, part of your morning commute. Elsewhere in the Triangle, we continue to monitor that vehicle fire on eastbound lane of I-40 near the 306 exit in Garner. But as you can see from our traffic sensors this morning, all the major routes are delay-free this morning.
Breaking news, we're following Iran's president, Ibrahim Raisi, is confirmed dead. That announcement came about 12:30 this morning, our time. Iran will observe 5 days of mourning after a helicopter crash killed the president, foreign minister, and 7 other people. Iran's cabinet held an emergency session today led by the nation's first vice president, who will take Raisi's seat of power. Drone footage shot just before rescue crews got there shows the wreckage on a remote hillside. Crews arrived early this morning after battling difficult weather conditions and terrain. Raisi was a hardliner who had been seen as a possible successor to Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khomeini. And Chris Levengood is in the WRAL Live Center. Brand new information just coming into our newsroom, Chris.
Yeah, Jeff, one thing I've been looking at are reports coming out from overseas. This right here, this is Mohammad Javad Zarif. He is the former Iranian foreign minister a while back here. And he went on state media saying that the United States was, quote, one of the main culprits in the helicopter crash that killed President Raisi. And he's citing U.S. sanctions affecting aviation and comments on state television there. This is, again, the message that's been posted, or rather the update from NBC News that talks a little bit more about it. And if you go to Iran International, a news agency that's over there, it goes into a little more specifics where it mentions that he's talking about the sanctions compromised Iran's access to modern aviation facilities there, again, implying that the United States had some sort of responsibility in this. So one thing I've also been looking at is the White House press briefing room page on the website. I've been hitting refresh a couple of times just to see if President Biden is saying anything, but the last post was made yesterday. So we're going to be watching very closely to see more updates with this, because when you hear something like that, the implications saying that the United States is responsible, that's worth hearing from the president about.
Chris, staying on top of the developments out of Iran. Thank you. You have a chance to give your thoughts on what Wake County wants to do with your taxes. The first of 2 public hearings about the county's $2 billion plan is tonight. WRAL's Laura Levine is live outside the Wake County Justice Center. And Laura, what homeowners pay in property taxes are expected to go up with this proposal.
It is. Good morning, Renee. You know, this is a really big week for people who live here in Wake County. Taxpayers will have the opportunity to weigh in on some of their concerns and thoughts here at the Wake County Justice Center about the budget before a final decision is made. I spoke with the chair of county commissioners, and she tells me that they've really zoned in on some specific areas to look at how these funds should be dispersed, including tax rates for homeowners. Now, the proposed budget decreases the property tax rate by 22%. But since home values are up, the amount you pay will likely go up as well. Wake County Chair Shanika Thomas tells me the extra revenue is needed if the county wants to keep serving its rapidly growing population. She describes other areas that's a major focus for them as well.
It's a priority. Education is always a priority. Housing is a priority for us. And so we're looking at a variety of things, but we also understand that budgets are tight.
And she says she really encourages people to come out. They need that public input at this time. The public hearing begins at 2 p.m. Laura Levine, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Breaking news, a man is seriously hurt after a head-on crash involving a motorcycle and a car in Moore County. This happened just before 11 last night on NC 690 near McGill Road. According to Highway Patrol, the driver crashed head-on into that motorcycle. The cyclist was seriously injured and airlifted by helicopter to a trauma center. The crash is under investigation.
Teachers and staff at Durham Public Schools are calling out the school board for what they say are union-busting tactics. The Durham Association of Educators plans to hold a news conference this afternoon. They say the school board is denying their union rights during the negotiation for higher pay. This comes after employees held walk-in rallies at nearly 24 schools Friday morning. They say they expect a response from the school board before its next meeting on Thursday.
Keeping kids safe from dangers that lurk online. Parents have the chance to learn what they can do during a forum today in Raleigh. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey joins us from Green Magnet Elementary School, and this is an extremely important topic for moms and dads. Kelsey.
Jeff, it really is. Starting a conversation with your child about scary incidents that can happen online may be really difficult. So that's why parents are invited to come here to Green Magnet Elementary later today just to get informed. Today, parents will learn about 3 specific areas of online safety, what dangers are out there, how to protect your child from them, and what to do if something goes wrong. Last week, we told you about parents going to Raleigh police. This after 3 10-year-olds said a man exposed himself to them online and then threatened to shoot up a school. Data shows there's a disconnect between parents and kids when it comes to internet safety. A Microsoft survey shows 74% of teens reported experiencing an online risk, but only 62% of parents believe their teen had experienced that. Christian Dariange with Safe Child NC says parents should give guidelines for what to do online.
It's no different than given a bike or a toy or, something else a child is going to interact with. There are instructions.
People with the State Justice Department will be here tonight to answer any questions from parents, and that event starts tonight at 5:30. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
We expect to hear from Durham city leaders today about a major mix-up at the Bimbe Festival. R&B singer Monica was expected to perform as the headliner on Saturday. A scheduling issue between the city and Monica's representation meant the artist had other obligations. Durham leaders say they're trying to figure out exactly what went wrong. Despite this, there was a great turnout for the festival, celebrating African and African-American history, culture, arts, and traditions.
Give you a live look in Baltimore this morning. A cargo ship that crashed into the Francis Scott Key Bridge, causing it to collapse, will be refloated and relocated today. The Unified Command plans to refloat the Dolly at high tide this morning. Officials say the whole process to refloat and move the ship will take more than 20 hours. Crews used explosives in the partial demolition last week of the largest remaining steel span of that Key Bridge.
Week 6 of former President Trump's hush money trial gets underway today, and it's nearing the end. Trump's ex-attorney Michael Cohen is expected to wrap up testimony today. The defense is expected to complete cross-examination. Trump's lawyers say there is a possibility that Trump could take the witness stand. The judge told lawyers to be ready for closing arguments as soon as tomorrow.
Another reason to be sure you buckle up before you hit the road. Law enforcement agencies across our state are cracking down as the busy Memorial Day travel season approaches. The Memorial Day Click It or Ticket campaign is happening now through June 2nd. You could face a fine of up to $179 if you're caught not wearing a seatbelt. Officials say about 92% of North Carolina drivers do use their seatbelts, but about 45% of people who die in crashes in this state are not wearing one.
School will be back in session in Houston today, even as more than 200,000 homes and businesses in the area remain without power. Cleanup is continuing after powerful storms Thursday that caused widespread damage and left at least 7 people dead. Dozens of schools in the Houston area are still without power. Those schools will remain closed today. It is 6:10 now, a new effort to clean up our state's coast. How teams are working to get broken down boats out of the water.
And America's first black astronaut candidate finally goes to space 60 years later. What Ed Dwight says about his record-breaking experience.
And we're seeing a pleasant day today, a little foggy in spots, but partly cloudy later on. We stay dry until the weekend, wouldn't you know it? I'll walk you through what could be the wettest part of the holiday coming up.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Check out this gorgeous sunrise. Just a little bit of a hole in the clouds there in Goldsboro. And there is some cloud cover across the viewing area, some patchy fog too. But that sunshine, as it gets a little higher, will help to dissipate a lot of the cloud cover that we're seeing this morning. Looking for a quarter-mile visibility there. We're seeing it in Roxborough, so there is officially fog there. Elsewhere, we're looking at some low cloud cover across parts of the region, but not everybody's seeing it. So just keep checking back before you head out the door, and we'll let you know what it looks like where you are. 59 in Lewisburg, 60 in Fayetteville, it's 60 in South Hill, so feeling very pleasant out there this morning. Our humidity is on the low side. Kids at lunchtime today in the mid-70s. As the kids get off the bus this afternoon, it'll feel nice with temperatures around 80 degrees. Ken?
Elizabeth, here in the WRAL Traffic Center, we continue to monitor how those foggy conditions could affect your morning commute, and so far, so good. We're just monitoring a couple of situations right now on our roadways. Right now, Raleigh police are working a crash on New Bern Avenue and Traywick Road. Just look for some police activity in that area. We're not seeing any issues backing up in that area. Also, we continue to monitor that vehicle fire in the eastbound lanes of I-40 near 306 exit. Again, it's off to the shoulder of the road, not affecting your morning commute. Also in the Triangle, all the major routes are delay-free this morning.
Thanks, Ken. Sailors from the USS Kearney are back home after a historic 7-month deployment to the Middle East. They arrived in Florida yesterday morning after their deployment that started 10 days before Hamas attacked Israel. While the ship was in the Middle East, it destroyed Houthi-launched weapons and 65 targets in Yemen. The Secretary of the Navy says the USS Kearney saw the most combat during its deployment than any Navy ship since World War II.
About a dozen old abandoned boats are being cleaned up from North Carolina's coastal waters. Hundreds of left behind, forgotten, and storm-ravaged boats can be found all along the North Carolina coast. Right now, the State Coastal Federation, the Wildlife Resources Commission, the Division of Coastal Management, and local governments are working together with marine contractors to remove 12 boats from the Wilmington region. The money to do that is coming from the Federal Marine Debris Program.
Living his dream 60 years later, Ed Dwight, America's first black astronaut candidate, finally rocketed into space. WRAL's Michelle McConaughey is here with more on this record-breaking trip, Michelle.
Yeah, this is so exciting, Jeff. 90-year-old Ed Dwight finally got to take the trip of a lifetime on the Blue Origin. He called it a life-changing experience. Dwight was an Air Force pilot and among the potential astronauts the Air Force recommended to NASA. President John F. Kennedy even championed him as a candidate for NASA's early astronaut corps, but he wasn't picked. That was in 1963. Well, yesterday, he finally got his chance and now holds the record for the oldest person in space.
Everything you can think of. And I thought I really didn't need this in my life, but now I need it in my life. This is fabulous. Thank you so much.
Yeah, he needed it and he loved it. Dwight left the military in 1966. He started a construction company and eventually dedicated his life to art. Several of his sculptures have even flown to space, and now he has flown to space. This was Blue Origin's first crew launch in nearly 2 years and only the 7th time flying into space, but just such an incredible experience for him.
I mean, life journeys, right? You never know. Oldest person ever to fly into space. His artwork made it there before he did, but he caught up. Good for him. Thanks, Michelle.
This week, we'll learn who will be the winner of The Voice Season 25. North Carolina native Josh Sanders hopes it will be him. Sanders is from Kannapolis, and he'll be competing in the finals tonight. Sanders has been on Team Reba since week 1. We've been tracking his journey. The 2-part finale starts tonight at 8, right here on WRAL. And we're tracking some varying conditions all across the triangle right now. Some seeing sun and some seeing clouds. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with all the views.
Oh, yeah. We're going to take another look at Goldsboro. It looks gorgeous there. Just that little thin spot in the clouds or that sun peeking through. But in Apex, it's another story. We have some low cloud cover here as you're looking down Salem Street. In Chapel Hill, it may be a little bit hard to tell, but it's mostly clear, actually. So we take a look from the camera there in Chapel Hill. And, of course, in Fayetteville at our newsroom there on Hay Street. Visibility right now is down to 1/4 mile in Roxborough, and we would consider 1/4 mile visibility to be fog. So it's definitely seeing it there. But notice most of the sensors are low cloud cover range to about 5-mile visibility in Durham and Raleigh, as well as in Southern Pines. Satellite and radar showing quiet conditions for us this morning. We're in between systems. A big area of high pressure will keep things nice and quiet for us during the work week. We have a system that's back to the west here across Oklahoma, producing some scattered storms, and that stretches all the way up into the Midwest. All of this will lift north of us, and the system that arrives here over the weekend hasn't even developed yet. But still, the computer models can take what's happening with the weather right now and translate it to what may be happening down in the future. So we take a look at Friday in the morning. We're fairly dry, but in the afternoon and evening, we start to see at least some isolated showers and thunderstorms move in. Of course, this is Friday of Memorial Day weekend. A lot of folks trying to hit the road, and it doesn't take a whole lot of rain to cause problems for the evening commute. Keep that in mind as you're making your travel plans. On Saturday, on this version of Futurecast anyway, we start off wet and then we end up wet for the entire day. Now, we tend to see a lot of things changing. We get a lot of new information into the models, new model runs. So don't take that to the bank just yet. Keep checking back as we take a look at what happens over the weekend. On Sunday, looking dry to start with just a few isolated afternoon and evening storms, but we have a chance again on Monday. So I hate it. It's going to be a nice quiet week. We get to the weekend again, and a chance of showers and storms. A small chance Thursday, but again, Friday afternoon and evening, we really kick it off, that chance of rain. Between now and Friday evening, we're looking at maybe 1/4 to 1/2 inch of rain, but once we add Saturday and Sunday and Monday to that, it's probably going to be fairly significant. And our precipitation outlook does remain above normal all the way into the early part of June. And we definitely needed the rain to play catch up from our dry April, but the holiday weekend. Ahead of the weekend, it's going to be hot on Thursday with a high of 91. Ken?
All right, 6:19, Elizabeth. We continue to watch those foggy conditions and keep that in mind just in case you're getting ready to head out in the near future. Here in our traffic maps this morning, we're looking at that I-40 eastbound lane, a vehicle fire right there in the eastbound lane, right at exit 306, not causing any problems this morning, so nothing to worry about as well. There's also Raleigh police working a crash on New Bern Avenue and Traywick Road. That's really off to the side of the road. It's a minor crash. It shouldn't affect you this morning. Elsewhere around the triangle, we're seeing some brake tapping going on the north side of the Beltline this morning, but not enough to make you late. But just keep that in mind if the north side of the Beltline is part of your morning commute. Elsewhere, all the major routes in Durham and Chapel Hill delay-free this morning.
Thanks, Ken. Protesters in downtown Raleigh are expanding their call for change, a new cause they're getting behind as they continue to push for a ceasefire in Gaza.
And the live stream portal between New York City and Dublin is back open. The new restrictions in place to try to limit inappropriate behavior. That's coming up in What's Trending.
And here's a look at your winning NC Education lottery numbers.
This What's Trending report, sponsored by Rug & Home.
A portal linking New York City and Dublin, Ireland with the live stream is back open with some restrictions.
Ken Smith is here with what's trending. Hey, Ken.
And for good reason. A lot of people, happy about it this morning. The portal closed last week, just days after it first opened, because people were behaving, shall we say, inappropriately. It will now only be open 10 hours a day, and it will automatically blur the screen if anyone gets too close to it.
Yeah, there's certain rules, like they're not supposed to get too close, so you're not supposed to step on it or anything like that. So they had some unfortunate incidents that shut it down. There were some flashings, some moonings, all kinds of crazy stuff going on there. But now it's back open, certain hours, and hopefully certain protocols followed.
Okay, people behave, and we can keep these portals around.
Then we can have nice things.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Jeff, if Renee starts swooning,
I know.
you understand why?
I'm ready.
I'm going to say it right now.
I'm preparing.
Ryan Reynolds. He and John Krasinski have a real hit on their hands with a movie about imaginary friends. If took the top spot at the box office this weekend. Reynolds stars in the movie alongside 12-year-old Kaylee Fleming. It's Krasinski's third straight box office #1 as a director. How about that?
Yes, I see Ryan there, but John Krasinski, his inspiration for this movie was from his kids. They're 7 and 10 years old, and they would often go into this imaginary world that parents aren't allowed in, and he would say to his wife, this would make an amazing movie. So here you go. You don't have a reboot or anything. You have a family-friendly movie. I think I'll take Elsa, and maybe I might notice that Ryan is on the screen.
Just give him a glance.
If only.
It might be a draw. Yeah.
Thanks, Ken.
The Denver Nuggets will not be repeating as NBA champions. The Minnesota Timberwolves came back from a 20-point third-quarter deficit to beat them in their Game 7 playoff matchup last night. The Timberwolves will move on to play the Dallas Mavericks in the Western Conference Finals. That series starts Wednesday night.
Speaking of Game 7s here, the Indiana Pacers will now move on to the NBA's Eastern Conference Finals. Tyrese Halliburton led the way with 26 points as the Pacers eliminated the New York Knicks. This was a Game 7 matchup Sunday. The Pacers will play the Boston Celtics in the conference finals. That series gets started tomorrow night.
Today, you'll have a chance to learn about how to protect your child from online danger. Coming up, why you should start a conversation at home about online safety.
And you can see some clouds hanging low over Durham. We're not seeing cloudy skies everywhere. I'll show you what the rest of the day will look like and how it will be as you head out the door.
All-American Week at Fort Liberty, how current and former paratroopers are being honored and how you can get in on the activities.